Okay. So, Angela, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
And to the full audience, we had this fantastic session with Jennifer today about luxury on LVMH. And we go back to luxury now with the AERIN brand, which is a beautiful brand. And so, Angela, please introduce yourself. We want to know a little bit about you also, any spicy, joking, but anything you want to tell us about your career and the love you have for this brand. And just in case not everybody may know Erin,
Sure.
something on the brand before we dive in.
Absolutely. So I'm Angela Gruska, SVP of Digital Marketing and E-commerce at AERIN. AERIN is a luxury lifestyle brand led by Erin Lauder, who is the great-granddaughter of Estee Lauder. So the focus of our brand is really on building a lifestyle around our founder, Erin. And we believe that living effortlessly beautiful is really like the motto that we stand behind. So it's really about how we cultivate the lifestyle of Erin through everything that we sell. And so we're not really focused on selling the product as much as we are on selling the lifestyle. I've been with the brand for about 1.5 years now, and I'm also excited to announce that it's our 10th anniversary this year. So, and we're actually celebrating this week in conjunction with Estee Lauder, and we launched a new fragrance called Joyful Bloom. And we're also doing many activations throughout the week here in New York as well as in London. And we've also done a collaboration with Tanner Kroll, who is a luxury luggage maker as well. So we have these beautiful trunks available with our fragrances on our site, which just launched this week.
That's great. And tell us a little bit about you before your life at Erin.
So before AERIN, I've spent about 20 years in the luxury space. Started my career at Anne Klein. I spent about a decade at ABC Carpet and Home, launching their e-commerce business. I also spent time at Millie, the contemporary fashion brand, as well as at Maria Tash, which is a fine jewelry and luxury piercing business. The majority of my career has really been focused on marketing and e-commerce and really bridging the gap between the two areas. And I think that's even more important as the industry has evolved over the past few years. And I think one thing that we really focus on is the customer journey here at AERIN. And my career has really enabled us to sort of like evolve, to see the evolution of the customer and bring all those areas together.
That's great. We had a fantastic panels, but majority really more mass and retailer brands, very, very few luxury. And you told me yesterday when we were chatting about the importance of visual for Erin and this immersion in the brand and the physical presence. So tell us about how you innovate in the visual space.
Sure. So creative is sort of the most important part of our brand. We're trying to welcome and engage our customers in the Erin lifestyle. So bringing our customers into the world of Erin, how she lives, what she does when she's out of the office, what she does on the weekend. And so we're really focusing on creating these very aspirational images that welcome our customer inside of the world of Erin. Erin is also very active in the brand. So from a social perspective, she's creating images on a regular basis, which we also have leveraged from a marketing perspective as well. And if you look at our site, you'll see that it's very heavily focused on the imagery. And we really have focused the creation of our content around that idea of lifestyle and creating sort of this human element to the brand. So you'll see that through everything that we do, from the edits that we create to our marketing campaigns, as well as our social media.
So it's all about that. And you told me again, I was very, very impressed that your consumer base and your primary target are very different than any other brand. So tell us a bit about it.
So our customer is a very high touch, a very affluent consumer. So in the past, I've worked for luxury brands who we've had aspirational customers make up a bulk of our audience. In this case, the majority of our customers are already there. So we're not really reaching the Henrys, but we're reaching the people that are ultra affluent. They have multiple homes. They have multiple people working for them that are purchasing on their behalf. They're working with designers. They're working with assistants. So from a data perspective, that can get quite complex. And they also have very high expectations of how we service them. So we put a lot of emphasis on the customer experience. And it's also interesting when it comes to digital because we're really focused on the user experience and how the customer is navigating the site. Because these customers, they are maybe not as digitally savvy as your average customer. I feel like a lot of us spend a lot of time targeting the digital natives, but in this case, our customer is not digitally savvy and not digitally native. So that adds a whole nother layer of complexity. And it's also very interesting when it comes to innovation. We're thinking about how we roll out new features, functionality, new technology, and so forth, because we have to think about our core customer who may not understand how to use it. So we have to think about how we integrate that, how we can educate them on how best to use that. So again, we focus a lot on the guiding the customer to that purchase decision. And just think about all of the friction points and the pain points in the shopping experience. We spend a lot of time talking to our customer experience team to get feedback from them on what customers are having difficulty with, how we can streamline the experience. Everything from even from at a product level, what they like about our product, what they don't like about our product. So we really make the customer the center of everything that we do and really take their feedback seriously because, like I said, this customer has very high expectations.
It's totally different than what we saw so far, correct? I mean, it's like incredibly physical. I was telling everybody this morning, and nobody wants to have a customer service with a person anymore.
No, I just read a stat yesterday. It said like 1 in 10 customer service agents will be replaced by AI. Yeah.
But not for your brand.
No, and I think it's a balance. So it's like you have to think about there are those customers who are digitally savvy, and they may be 20% of our audience. So we have to make sure that we can service them as well. But at the same time, we have to think about how we balance that with like more of a human approach and continue to service them that way. I would say that on a daily basis, we probably have about 10 customers that call and ask how to facilitate a purchase online. They want us to do it for them. So that still happens. And these purchases could be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. So we need to figure out how we can still build and automate processes with technology, but still have the ability to serve these edge cases. And this becomes, I think, a pain point in all of our discussions when we're talking about, new integrations and so forth.
That's great. This is so different. I mean, there is still, luxury, of course, demanding a high price. It's also high touch. They want to have the experience. However, you were sharing with me that you are re-platforming your website and your technology base, which I have a particular passion because I always think that you cannot really run innovation in your commerce site or in your properties unless you have a good environment and a good technology stack to start with. So tell us about it, how you decide with the investments.
Sure. I mean, I think it really starts with the foundation, and that's so coming into this company about 1.5 years ago, I had done an assessment of our tech stack, and what I found was a lot of, I would say, antiquated systems, large systems that maybe didn't make sense for a brand of our size. There is a huge focus on growing digital. We really saw the growth through COVID. The brand had started out really primarily focused on wholesale distribution. So as we made the shift into growing our D2C business, the focus has really been on creating that scalable foundation and creating more modularity between our systems, and also creating a foundation that enables us to test and creating this agile environment. So it really starts from the beginning and having that solid foundation. And then from there, whether it be building out, a data warehouse or a CDP, but it really starts for us from the e-commerce perspective with the e-commerce platform. And right now we have a great e-commerce platform, but the cost to implement technology on it is very high. So moving forward, and we'll be launching early next year, we'll have the ability to have more of this like plug and play model where we can integrate new technology more easily without a heavy financial investment, which will enable us to test and learn. I think that's really important for the luxury customer because our customer is very different than your average customer. So you don't want to make a heavy investment from a technology perspective and it doesn't work. And I think that's how we really think about innovation and technology at our brand, is that we think about like what kind of value will it provide for our customer. And because our customer is so unique, it's always taking a risk and you never know. So it's really taking that test and learn approach to everything that we do and building a foundation that can support that.
That's great. I was also thinking in a company like AERIN, maybe it's a little bit easier to make decision internally because you're saying, you came in 2 years ago, you assess it, you change it. I mean, from the platform to the strategy. I mean, you can touch a little bit of everything, collaboration. Tell us about how is the process, because I think we talk about today agility, collaboration across function, data silo, and it seems like you can grasp a little bit of everything and move it forward faster.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a benefit to working at a smaller organization where there's less barriers and there's more ease of implementation. So, however, I think when it comes to any sort of activation or implementation, it does require the support of cross-functional teams. So we do have steering committee meetings, and we really try to bring everyone along for the journey. Because obviously you can't operate alone. So even if it's something as like expanding internationally, it's starting to have those conversations early on with all the teams involved, whether that be like wholesale in terms of how we can leverage wholesale distribution to create brand awareness and so forth. So I think from our perspective, it's really starting very early on. Looking at our 3 to 5 year roadmap and starting to have those conversations with different teams to start to sort of get their feet wet in what we're doing. But it is definitely much easier working at a smaller organization where we have less silos, less barriers, and I think that's part of the benefit of why I love working at AERIN so much. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I mean, we would really all aspire to that. Actually, yes, it's a smaller, more agile company. So, what's your approach on emerging media? And I wouldn't say TikTok for your customer, maybe yes, but with this profile, very differentiated, from the actual user or the gifter to their assistant or the designer. You have such a different consumer profile or user profile. How do you approach emerging media, emerging platform?
So I think for us, we have explored and considered TikTok. It's not really our audience. I think there's a lot of opportunity for short form video for our brand. I think from more of a own perspective, we're really not seeing much referral traffic or interest through TikTok.
Of course.
So our focus has been more heavily on Instagram and more of the traditional channels in Bing and Google. I have to say that I know that the data is sort of blurred in terms of social, but I've never seen such high ROAS from a social perspective. And I think a lot of it has to do with our customer being highly engaged in AERIN and her lifestyle because she is an influencer as well. And one of our most viewed pages on our site is actually our Shop Our Instagram page. And through the technology that we use, we can actually see how much revenue is being generated through that page from a referral perspective. And it's one of the highest value pages on the site. So it just speaks to the importance of social media and Instagram and Facebook in driving revenue for our business. And I think it's been really interesting to see how we have tested our campaign imagery against like the authentic imagery that AERIN creates, and it's always the authentic content that outperforms all of the imagery that we spend a lot of money on. So it's wonderful to see that AERIN is behind that strategy, and we're continuing to test that out as we move forward. Again, we keep our eye, on all, emerging forms of media. But I think, our customer is not, you always have to sort of follow the lead of the customer, and our customer is not as, like I said, digitally savvy and not as active in some of the newer platforms. So that they're the customer that's very active on Facebook and Instagram. So that's where we are. So we really follow the customer.
And do you still do traditional media like press or,
We do. So we do a lot of press events, and traditional press placements would actually drive a lot of traffic and awareness. We really look for a lot of niche publications that our customers are interested in. And it was interesting. Last year, we actually we did a partnership with Graydon Carter's new digital publication, Airmail, and I'd never seen such a lift in my career from a press placement. But because our customer is so highly engaged in that outlet, it really drove a significant lift, not only in the traffic, but revenue, and we sold out of the product that was featured. So
what was it?
It was a Weekender, a suede Weekender, which is one of AERIN's favorite bags, and we all own them. They're amazing.
For how much?
So they start at $1,000.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. For a smaller size.
By the way, for those that don't know, there is a fantastic
and they're
Diageo. Where is
unisex.
Diageo
They
with
look
Josh?
great on men.
There is a fantastic bar cocktail kit for about $3,000 with the.
Oh yes,
yeah.
So we do have
really
amazing
beautiful
bar set if you're in the market. It's about $3,900.
For your Hampton House. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's great.
But I mean, everything that we sell is really has AERIN's stamp of approval. So it's really all about the quality. We put a big emphasis on telling the story about the product, how it's created, made in Italy and, Murano glass. So everything is like top tier quality because this is what our customer wants. Our customer is unique in the sense that they're not flashy because they have everything that they need. They're looking for quality, and that is what we really sell. So it's a very unique brand with a very unique customer base. And it presents a lot of unique challenges from an acquisition perspective.
So what's the strategy in the future? Of course, you have all this good consumer base, which of course will, age through. And given the millennial, have a different profile. What's the strategy to grow the consumer base in the future? What's your next target?
So I definitely think there's an opportunity to focus on the aspirational customer. I think, in terms of the Weekender, we do have a smaller size fragrance. So our beauty customer is much younger. So it's like how we can attract a younger customer through one of our other product categories. So, anything in the home lighting space tends to be much more expensive, but beauty is accessible and is in line with other fragrances out there, and so that's an area there where we look to start to draw in a customer from a beauty perspective and then retarget them so they can complete the entire AERIN lifestyle. The same thing goes for fashion. So over the past year, AERIN has become more active in curating an assortment of amazing fashion designers that she loves. And these are, again, speaking to the quality, amazing luxury designers that you may not be familiar with, that are hard to find in other places. That she's discovered through her travels. So those are areas where we have found that we have been acquiring a lot of new customers. So we'll look at our data, we'll see customers who first purchased fashion, and then 2 years later, they purchased a light. So I think that's something we're really focusing on, again, going back to that lifestyle element. So they have a piece of it from a beauty or fashion perspective, and then as they mature and they grow, then they look and they have the means, they start to acquire other pieces within our collection. So I think that's a big strategy for us, are really focusing on those categories. We also are very active in collaboration. So We have, like I said, we just partnered with Tanner Kroll from a beauty case and luggage perspective. We've also done collaborations with ceramic makers. We actually have an event today in Connecticut that we're doing with Francis Palmer as a part of our 10th anniversary. So there's always this focus on doing these collaborations and bringing in new audiences that they have through these collaborations that tend to be younger and more aspirational.
That's fantastic. Well, because we will have to start the break 5 minutes early, I've been told, I want to open the floor to questions for Angela. Any question in the luxury space? Justin, correct? Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Justin from L'Oreal, work on Armani Beauty specifically. Working on a brand like AERIN that's multi-category and knowing that the customer segment and the customer behaviors are distinct based on the category you're looking at, how is your team managing those segments in the most strategic way?
So it's interesting. Like I said, we really look at cross-selling and selling towards more of that lifestyle. So we make a lot of effort of looking at the data of what has been purchased together. And we utilize that data to create new segments and to target customers with communication. So if we see that customers often purchase, like fragrance with a throw, for example, we use that data start to inform how we potentially target new customers based off of the data of like products purchased together. That's really all that we have today. But again, we're really focusing on growing that and expanding the way that we market to customers to continue to improve our retention.
It's great. Any more questions? Down 3, down 2, down 1. You earn a coffee, and I want you back at 3. No, what time? 2:40. No, cannot be. If it's must be 3:15. Must be 3:15. Full of energy. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, everyone.